I want to ask you about your childhood, where you grew up, and what it was like. Be
Oh.
as open as you want to be, and there's no pressure. But go ahead, tell me.
Um, so I grew up in the middle of nowhere. Like you literally couldn't get out of the village. Like there was no buses. It was that remote. Our nearest shop was like half an hour away, and it was so cut off and so rural. And for like a really long part of my childhood, I didn't have a TV, and so like like honestly like my I was not a good reader. I wasn't engaged at school. I was a goblin who for all intents and purposes liked to hang out in like the local stream, catching fish, climbing trees. I was a lot like Margot in that kind of way, quite scabby. But I really liked campfire stories. They were like my thing. I love campfire stories. I still love campfire stories. And like I was that kid who was like half chav, half greb. Like I don't know what the name of the intersection is for
Grab.
that. Yeah. Yeah. Um, and like we'd get like Blue Wicked from someone's parents' cupboard and like run off into the field and do like Ouija boards and tell really scary stories and just try to like literally scare the crap out of each other. And that was like those were like the highlight memories of like growing up somewhere so rural. But it's Cumbria's like so interesting because
Mm.
it's a place that is like all places has like lots and lots of wealth and at the same time has like lots of poverty. Like it is just like those two worlds intersect in a really interesting way. I think in Cumbria, like you really do have like the national park, which obviously like inspired the poets and like was a really beautiful and is a really beautiful area. And then like other areas of Cumbria are like just not like that.
Mm.
So it yeah, it's a really interesting place. It's got a really interesting vibe. Um, it's also just got like a really bloody history that we don't really talk about that much. Like it was constantly fought over between like the Scottish and the English.
Yeah.
And I find that so interesting because
Mm.
it's just I think culturally it really struggles with its own personality. And like to be honest, so do I. So like
Yeah.
it's like it's an interesting place.
No, I definitely, and I also think the North, I mean, especially nowadays, it does have its own rich identity and folklore and history. And the South is kind of this like black hole of like London just sucking culture out of the UK. I think we don't, there's so much credit needs to be given to the North and the history of the North. And I know that people in the North do recognize it, but in England, I feel like sometimes it just feels like as a Londoner, we're kind of it's easy to forget how much wonder there is out there in the world in the UK.
For sure. And like you see it in like I don't it's so interesting because Cumbria is like a Celtic Isle
Yeah.
technically. So like along with like Wales and Cornwall, like it's so interesting to me that there's almost this like pull towards London, obviously because it's the capital.
Mm.
All of England and the United Kingdom and Great Britain, like Scotland, Ireland, like there's just so much. Like, and it's crazy to think how old our history is. I always get really freaked out when sorry if this is totally off topic, by the
No, this
way.
is perfect. Go for it.
I always get really freaked out when like because you know how the earth used to be like Pangea.
Yeah.
Um like the Scottish Highlands being part of the Appalachian Mountains just like forever freaks me out. Like
No, but you can kind of see it. Like it like
man.
the pines and the kind of because that whole it is a very kind of yeah, it's like almost like a European style wilderness. But obviously the heat has changed it a bit. But I can so see that that
It
it came
really
from.
like spooks me out a lot.
Yeah, I mean, how long ago was Pangaea though? That's a long time ago. Is it millions of years? It's got to
Yeah,
be millions
they
of
are like
years.
really old ghosts, like
Yeah.
ghosts older than trees. Like
Yeah. As you said, you had these kind of, I guess, a slightly freewheeling, wild kind of side to yourself, like going out in the brooks, bruised knees and Ouija boards and stuff. And um, did you feel that you were an outsider, or was it something that or were you just drawn to it and you weren't really thinking about it?
um I think I probably was. I was like an undiagnosed autistic child. I've got my diagnosis now, like thank God. But like looking back, I was so isolated because of that.
Yeah,
Mm, And I just think I felt understood by the kind of natural world, like the order of it made sense to me.
yeah,
Um, and like there were like patterns that I just recognized and like just the way you interact with nature, there are like just rules. Like if you piss off a dog, it'll bite you back. That's a rule I understand. Like
yeah.
uh, and it
Cause and
that
effect. Yeah, yeah,
cause and effect,
yeah,
exactly. And like
yeah.
I grew up at a point where like foot and mouth was like rife. So like the
Mm,
landscape actually when I was growing up was like in was sort of tortured in a way. Like I just remember having to like before school like washing my wellies in a tub of water before I walked into the school and like
yeah.
into and stuff. So the landscape was sort of having a really fraught relationship with itself at that point, but there was still this kind of like order to like how it all worked and like how I understood it. Um, but I do think I was maybe a little bit of an outsider, but I do think that I largely attribute that to like being autistic because you do just see the world very
Mm,
differently.
of course you do.
Um,
Yeah, of course. And how did you mask at school? Was it did you how did you learn to do that? And was it something that was came relatively easy to you? Like, did you have friends and stuff?
uh, not really.
No, that's fine.
Um, I love that you were like, would you have considered yourself an outsider? And I talked around it for ages, and then
I'm sorry. I look, and honestly, I'm saying this. If any of this
no,
is not like you don't want to talk about it, I
no,
just
no, no, no,
probe,
no,
and
no.
but it's
It's
like
totally cool. Don't
okay.
worry. No, I think it's like having autism is so fascinating because we're still trying to develop what our understanding of it is and
Yeah.
what it looks like on different people. Like specifically, like I think it's an issue that impacts like women, the Black community massively,
Yeah.
because it is seen as like a very traditionally like white neurodevelopmental disorder, which is like ridiculous. Uh,
Yes. Mm,
so I think like there's this stereotype that kind of people who have autism love maths, are really into trains,
yeah.
um, a kind of very clean cut. And I was just the opposite of all of those things. I could not give a shit about trains. Like I actually couldn't.
Yeah.
I was really into mermaids. Like I was
Yeah.
like really, really into mermaids. And I was just obsessed with them. And I would leave pictures of like dead mermaids that I'd found on the internet that I thought had like proved my belief to be true on like my teacher's laptop.
Are
And they'd
these
be,
the washed up
yeah, like
skeletal things? Yeah.
yeah, washed up. And my teachers would be like, can you not leave pictures of like disturbing corpses on our laptops? And I'd be like, I'm gonna keep doing it until you admit that I'm right. Um, and yeah, I wasn't clean. I was muddy
No.
and I was awful at maths. I was awful at like, to be honest, all subjects I was terrible at. And so I just think I wasn't kind of like easy to put in that box, but it's
No.
so interesting because looking back, there was, right, I don't mean to like out this kid called Callum who I went to school with, but I'm gonna out this kid called Callum who I went to school with,
Yeah.
um, who like had a diagnosis for autism really young. And he was allowed to have like a notebook at school that he could just draw in while we were
Yeah.
all learning. And he was allowed his pen license because we had pen licenses at school. You couldn't use a pen unless you got your fucking pen license. And I remember thinking, like, actually, me and him are so similar.
Mm,
I'm being treated so differently.
mm.
And yeah, I think that's changing though now. I think that
Yeah.
is really, really changing. So that's a good thing that
It's a brilliant thing. I actually, when I was younger, I worked for several years with children with autism. I've always been very open-minded to the
uh,
spectrum, and going, well, we're all on it one way or another. And I think obviously some people more than others. So I completely understand what you're saying. And how did you obviously escaped from this kind of all these kind of school is for everyone a lot of strange rules that you have to get used to, right? You escaped into the countryside, you had your imagination, you had your mermaids, and what point did writing become like something that you use to channel kind of feelings?
honestly, like not until I was like 18 or 19.
That's quite early though, I would say. Some
Yeah.
people don't get round to it until their 30s, you know.
Yeah. I'd never even considered that I was a writer until I was like 20 something because I think I just didn't like I grew up in a space where like there was like this sort of messaging that we were going to be like cleaners or carers or something like that because the area that I lived in, that's what a lot of people went to do. They went on to be like dinner ladies or like
Hmm.
whatever, which is wrong. That messaging is so wrong.
Yeah.
And so I never considered that that was actually something that I could do. And then I I took I went and did an undergrad at Northumbria University in film. Um, I don't know how smart that was because obviously like the film industry is like crumbling around us.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
But I produced short films and I produced a short film that got into Fright Fest, which is like one of my proudest achievements to
yeah.
date, getting that film into Fright Fest and going to watch it. And I realized as I was sat in the cinema in Leicester Square, I was like, I want to write. Like I realized sitting in that cinema and I was like, I have to go in, write. And so I started writing in short films, which I think is a really good place to start
Yeah.
because the writing itself isn't the final product. You have to create and focus on telling a good story with
Yeah.
like a beginning and a middle and an end. And um then after that, I was like, oh my God, I love books. Like this is maybe quite late to realize that I really love books, but I actually really enjoy reading. And so I went to study an MA part-time while I worked and like really, really expanded my reading and just like wrote everything that I could get my hands on. Like I've like every genre because like I wanted to learn everything that there was. I made it my new hyper focus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It became like I just had to read everything and write everything.
No, I think, but that's that. I mean, and also it's just so that you don't feel bad. I think a lot of people read when they're younger and then they stop when they're teenagers
Mm.
because life, and then you kind of pick it up when you're a bit
Life.
calmer. But tell me, it's okay. So just wind back a bit about the film stuff,
Yeah.
because I agree with you that writing scripts is I mean, there's a simplicity to it. You don't have all of the endless words to describe what everything looks like and stuff, and it's just
Yeah.
dialogue and some bits. And when did you enjoy watching horror movies when you were a teenager?
So this is like my biggest moment of growth. Like, so I didn't watch a lot of horror movies
Yeah,
because obviously I didn't have a telly for a lot of it.
yeah,
But when I watched a horror movie for the first time that I understood, I suddenly realized like I had this like massive identity shift and I was like, oh my God, I know who I am now as
yeah,
a person. And
yeah,
it's so interesting when you talk to horror fans and they can all cite that one horror movie that where
yeah.
they realized it kind of put life into
Mm,
perspective and it made them realize things about themselves. And for me, that film was The Innocents,
yeah,
which is like the most incredible black and white movie, and it scares the crap out of me. Like I watched it
yeah.
once in a power cut on my laptop, and I actually had to turn it off because I was like, this is really scary. And like I like being a horror fan because you get to experience those fears and those scares in such an amazingly like brilliantly controlled environment.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's
because
slay.
because obviously with your autism there's something about controlling the environment, stimulation, and that kind of stuff. And that's why I always think about horror is really interesting, because a lot of anxious and neurodiverse people like horror. And I think it is this way of yeah, like you just said, controlling that sense of the world is scary, but in a
Mm,
way that is uncontrollable. But this
yeah.
kind of stuff, I get to interact with my experience and my fears in a safe
Mm.
way. You would
And
agree?
do you know what? Like, as you were saying that, I think I realized something else. You've
Yeah,
like unpicked something in my brain, which is that I think part of it is like, because with horror, you take everything to its logical extreme,
yeah,
like, including the sensory aspects.
mm,
It like really, really mirrors like my experience of like how I find the sensory world. So, like, when I hear a sound and it becomes really intrusive, it sounds like a sting
yeah,
in a horror movie that becomes really overwhelming. And it kind of like allows me to experience that in a way that is like less like I'm consenting to it. I'm not
Yes,
in the supermarket about to have a meltdown because the child is screaming in my ear. Um,
totally. No, I think that's
but
true. And of
yeah.
course, to take it even to like a deep level with a book, that's the kind of even more. I mean, it's insular, and you don't have, so it's even less kind of
Mm,
stimulation. And I think that's good in a way, because the reason why I like, I mean, I love horror movies, obviously, and that I wouldn't compare them, but I love reading because I
mm,
get to create it in my head. And like,
true.
and when I was reading your book, and I think when everyone's reading any book, it's a dialogue between me and you, and
Mhm.
then also no one's going to have the same impression of the
Mhm.
characters or the way or picture the landscape in the same way. So did you find that when you started reading, how did it make you feel emotionally? If it's like, was it a quieter thing? Did you feel calm? Do you feel calm when you read, or are you overstimulated?
Oh God, that's a really amazing question. I actually don't think I've ever been asked that question before. I can tell you the first horror book that I ever read and like how I felt
Yeah.
reading it. It was Christmas Eve and it was many, many years ago now. It was Christmas Eve and I just picked up The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. It was the first, I mean, what a way to come
It's a
into like
great way.
reading horror novels.
Yeah.
It set the
Set the
bar
bar
like
high. Yeah.
pretty high.
Yeah.
Um, it was Christmas Eve and I started reading it at like 8 p.m. and then it like slowly like people started to like go off to bed
Yeah.
and like disappear. And I just remember being on the couch and I was alone and I hadn't realized that everyone had left and I checked the clock and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And
Yeah.
I just was like, it's I think the genre I find it to be just like the most immersive,
Yeah.
like strangely welcoming um kind of thing, I guess, because it really, really invites you in and like I like the I think one of the problems that I have at the moment with like a lot of storytelling is I don't think it takes it far enough. I want peril, like I want grave peril,
Yeah.
and I want to feel that grave peril, and that is something that horror does like so excellently. Like nothing does it as well as horror.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I get really invested in it. Like I don't know if it is overstimulation or calmness. I think it's maybe a little bit of both
Yeah.
where I become so invested that I'm just like I feel like I'm in it, I in the pages.
Yeah.
Just it's such a special thing to feel. Um
Definitely. Yeah. What someone said that I interviewed said that it was like something like a co-hallucination. Like
yeah,
it's like you're kind of in that, you're in a time out, you're either you're in the time of the book and you're outside of it's weirdly, you're being present and not present at the same time when
so
you read,
true.
which is why I think you're right. It's comforting or calming and overstimulating. It's everything. But I
Yeah.
think the key is you're not being spoon fed in the same way. Which I think if you've got an active imagination, which obviously you do, like that's a very nourishing thing. And especially when you have grown up feeling a little bit, well, feeling on the outside, feeling like you can't interact with the world or understand the world in the way that other people seem to be able to. A book is a way to explore your feelings. It's like a kind of a little bit like a recipe, especially with horror, of like, oh, pushing these emotional buttons, which is
I
really
definitely
interesting. And what I wanted to ask, like, when you started writing, did you immediately like go to horror? You were reading horror, right? Did you go from writing scripts, right, to writing like short stories first, or did you just go straight for the kill?
Oh, that's an excellent question. I think I wrote a terrible novel first,
Got
and
to.
then I went back and wrote like a bunch of short stories.
You got overexcited, wrote a
Yeah,
book.
I think I just got really giddy and was like, "Oh my God, a novel! I have to write a novel." And then wrote a really bad, like so bad,
What was it
like
about?
it was about mermaid. Of course, it was about mermaid. Um, and I hope no one ever reads it
Was it
because
like a
I'm.
folk horror kind of
It was
thing?
like folky with like a really dark edge, I think. I I hope one day to be able to. This is not a pun for the people who have seen Little Mermaid 2 Return to the Sea, but I do hope I return to the sea one day with my writing because I live by the sea and I love boats. Actually, maybe that is how I'm stereotypically autistic because I'm really obsessed with boats and I
Not
have this
trains, it's
not
boats.
trains. It's I'm all about boats. I've got this boat app and I go up to the hill and look at boats as they go past in the river and find them on my boat app. And like I've got like my own
Yeah.
fleets of boats. Like I've got a fleet of boats that have faces. Um, and they're just like boats that I found that have like pictures of faces on them and like they're just really cute and I love them. Sorry.
I'm afraid you've fallen into the stereotype.
Yeah,
It's just a different transportation device.
boat of
Um,
transport.
that's fine. Like, I mean, I love boats. Do you go on boats though? Do you like sail? Have you ever sailed and stuff?
I've never sailed before, but I've been on like a ferry. I just like really looking at the boats. Like
Yeah,
I'm actually quite afraid of the
me
ocean.
too.
Like really like it's so scary.
Why is it so big?
Like it's so big and not only is it big, it's like it's heavy. Like
Yeah.
I just I don't, I'm trying to gauge like how invested you were particularly in the Titan submersible because I was like really into it when it
Yes,
happened.
I did. But I was also a little bit like felt a little bit ghoulish,
Yeah,
oh my
same.
God, they're going to die very slowly. It's
The
gonna,
like
yeah,
morbid like
yeah,
just I and I was in it's horrible but in my head I was like oh my God they're down there right now obviously like on kind of thankfully they weren't and it was really quick but just like the heaviness of the
oh yeah,
ocean
crushing.
just
No,
I actually think that's the most terrifying thing ever like
it is, and for me, the reason why I don't think I could live by the sea, and this is just my thing, is that it reminds me of death. It's in
yeah
the sense that it's so big and unknowable, and you can't see the end of it, and it just it, and I completely understand what you mean that the density and the weight of it it's just makes me feel very existential.
it's monstrous. It
Yeah,
really is. Like, there's a really interesting bit of folklore I learned actually, which is that witches supposedly, and there's probably other folklore that
yeah.
is the opposite of this, but magic can't be cast on sparkling water, which is the ocean.
Oof.
It's just that like that's so scary that even in our imaginations, our wildest magic cannot even beat the sea. Like that,
No,
it's just like
no.
how did we come to that
No,
assessment?
it's no, but it's so true, and I think that it's one of those things as well where we obviously the sea is we know less about the sea than we do about like anything. I think isn't it? There's some parts of the sea that we still haven't mapped. It's too deep. We're constantly, and those are monsters down there. They're more
Yeah,
monstrous things down in the sea than on land. I mean, those
they're
fish
basically aliens.
with the light, what are they called? What are those things called?
Anglerfish.
Anglerfish, and those teeth, they're like shards of glass, and they're just, oh man, it's freaky, but it's beautiful. But it's again like as much as I'm like scared of the sea, and I'm not a particularly good swimmer, but I am kind of find myself kind of drawn to it as well. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Not that I couldn't live and get up every morning and look at it because I just feel like, oh God, I'm so small. I'm so
It does make you feel like a tiny little bean, doesn't it? You just
yeah.
sort of and you're like, oh my God, like
I know.
I'm so tiny in this world.
I know. Okay, okay, let's
Sorry.
no. This is all about going wherever we want to. But you've written this mermaid book, and you definitely got to return to mermaids clearly because it's a passion of yours. But you did short stories, and you were working. Were you working in film, or were you making films, short films at the same time?
So I I was like I was so crazy. I thought that I could finish my undergrad, which was a
Yeah.
full-time undergrad, and also work at ITV at the same time.
Oh,
Full
really? Yeah.
Yeah. And so for the last 3 months of my degree, I was working at ITV.
Oh my. Well, I mean, but I understand that because obviously, presumably for you, it was a great opportunity to do it, and
Oh
you're like,
yeah.
I'm going to do it.
I'm gonna do it. It was the hours were crazy. I think I was doing like 60 to 80 hours a week. Like it is just
Yeah,
something to like
TV.
throw yourself into, simultaneously trying to finish my graduation film. Um, it was the most insane thing I've ever done. Uh,
Mm,
like professionally, I would never recommend doing that to
no,
anybody.
no,
Um,
no.
but I really quickly left television because I just realized like it
Yeah,
just wasn't for me.
yeah.
I am like indie until I die.
Retaining that kind of level of autonomy is, to be a creative person, I think is pretty vital. I think it's incredibly
So,
unlikely to be an artist working in television.
so
Very,
true.
yeah.
It's
Um,
hard to do that.
is that why you then pivoted towards writing books? Because you thought, I can control this situation.
So I did do short films for a
Yeah.
while. I got one funded by the BFI, which is like
Oh
the
wow.
I know, hardest thing I've ever managed to do. I've never managed to get funding from them again. But it was so much fun. It was like the best like film experience I've ever had. And I made this ghost story called She Lives Alone, which is this like Cumbrian ghost story, like literally just like a classic ghost story, like Victorian house,
Yeah.
candlelit hallways. I loved making that. I had the time of my life. We were up in the middle of nowhere. And it was we shot that weeks before we shut down for COVID.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it was crazy, but it was really fun. And then I made one more short film, which was crowdfunded because at this point, like you can feel the shell of like British film just like
Oh
crumbling from
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um,
It's brutal.
it's so hard.
Yeah.
And then I just I just needed to make something and finish it and get it out there. And I was like, but the book is the way that I do that because
Yeah.
I was just so sick of depending on other people, and it is such a collaboration in film. And I hope that I get to keep making films, and I hope that I get to return to making films again. But it is just like it is like it's brutal, and you'll
Mm.
know how brutal it is. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah, it's
um
hard. It's hard. But come on, the Lamb has got to, there's got to be a film in the Lamb. So
I agree. I like tell the world someone could
has it not been optioned yet? You know, not it's not no one's approached you.
not really.
Oh, come on. They will. It's only a matter of time.
I
It's only a
know.
matter of time.
I think it would be a great film. We've had some interest, and there's a really amazing producer who's got this like non-exclusive agreement with it, and
Okay.
he is incredible. And he's working so hard. But it is like it's so strange with horror because I feel like it is the one thing people reliably make whenever there is a recession,
Yes.
which perfect timing for me, I guess.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also British funding is just it's so scared to take risks on
Yeah.
British horror, slash horror at all. Like we're quite a risk averse,
Yeah.
like financial, cultural
But it
city.
wouldn't be, it's incredibly budget friendly story. You
So
know,
budget friendly. It's like one location.
there's no, I mean, there would be some practical effects. There wouldn't be, any CGI, huge amounts
Yeah.
of CGI or anything. I think it will happen. But yeah, no, I totally get that. But it's crazy because, like you said, the horror is dependable. It's the most profitable genre of film outside of, I think, what
Mhm.
used to be superheroes. So I think that good and popular horror stories, they even if it doesn't happen now, I think you just keep it in the bag. The Lamb, your debut, right? Your first ever book that has been published and shown to the world, right? Yeah, and it is an incredibly successful book, especially within. I mean, because obviously it is a horror book. I definitely consider it to be a horror book. But it's not just a horror book. Obviously, there's so many other themes, and there is literary elements in it and stuff. But how does it feel, the love that you have received for it? How validating is that?
Oh God. No one's ever asked me that before. It's really emotional actually because I didn't even think it was going to get published.
Yeah. Tell me. So
Um,
tell me how you got there.
um,
To the
I literally was messing around writing flash fictions, and it just I kept writing these flash fictions, and I realized they were about the same family. And about 15,000 words in, I was like, I have to write this into something. And honestly, like I had queried so many novels at this point. I think I queried like five.
yeah.
I was like, I don't think that this is going to get published. And I like had a spreadsheet of doom, which had like all of my submissions over all the books. Honestly, like 2 or 3 thousand rejections, like for my work. Like it was a big number. Um,
Whoa.
and to be fair, like they weren't like excellent, literary incredible novels, but it's the nature of the game, isn't it? You find the right
Yeah.
story, you get better and stuff. And so like I didn't have very high expectations when I started writing the book because I just didn't think it was going to go anywhere, which in a way I think gave me permission to just write the book
Yeah.
that I wanted to write.
Totally, totally.
And
Because obviously, when you're starting out as a writer, the querying process, a lot of energy goes into thinking, will someone like it, as opposed to,
so true.
or will it? Is there a market for it? And obviously, just as an aside, that's what's so good about horror. There is always going to be a market for it. So
So true.
you were, yeah, you had this kind of freedom. And did it take you a long time to write? Did you kind of get through it relatively quickly?
I think it took me about 2-ish years to write The Lamb.
That's quite a long time, isn't it?
It's only a 70,000 word novel as well. It's not actually that long. So that is quite a long time.
It's not a
But
bad
I'm
thing. I think it's just you life is lifing,
Yeah.
you know.
But also I'm really glad that I took my time with it because I think before I'd written The Lamb, I felt like I was in such a rush to do
Yeah.
everything. And I was like, I just need to get published. And like I think from the outside, a lot of books that do well really do look like an overnight success. And it's like
Oh yeah.
it never really is.
It's
But I think
graft. Yeah.
I got so lucky as well though because I'm really proud of the book and I if anybody sees themselves in Margot, like I've done my job and it
Yeah.
makes up for everybody who doesn't like it. Like I all I want is for like those people who have felt unloved to see themselves in that character and see how strong their spirits are. That's literally all I wanted.
Yeah,
Um
yeah,
and
totally.
I just feel really lucky because I think the team who published it on in both the UK and America just saw that in it and knew exactly what they were publishing and didn't try to change it. And it's not in the UK and the US, it's not with a horror specific imprint.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was always quite worried that whoever it ended up with, it would end up being kind of like eroded. Those kind of horror elements would end up being eroded, and they weren't. They
No.
like the editors, just like, both of the editors who have said, like, they're not like particularly into horror, like embraced it so much as it was. And like that was just the biggest relief. And they're both the most amazing editors. Um, but I just feel really lucky because my readers are the kindest, loveliest people who like whenever and I'm somebody who has self-doubt all the time and whenever if the t cosmic timing of some of the messages that I get is like quite frankly supernatural. So whenever I'm
You're
having
feeling
one,
down and stuff.
yeah,
You get,
I get a really lovely comment or a really lovely message and it just like yeah, I just think I didn't expect I don't it's not that I don't think anybody didn't expect it. Like, obviously, my editors loved the book and they wanted to publish it and all of that. But like, it really came as a shock to me how much people embraced it.
yeah.
Um,
No,
yeah,
it was, I guess it's been a very much a snowball. And obviously, I see all books these days through the prism of TikTok and social
they,
media. And I think it's one of the great things. If social media may have a million evils, but the way that word of mouth
oh,
can
so
can
true.
spread, and I mean, I was, for me, it was seeing your book through social media and seeing it not once and crucially not you promoting it but other people promoting it and reviewing it, and then I was like, well, I've got to read this to everyone. And I mean, you say that the cosmic timing, but I'm pretty sure that you could at any given moment look on there and you've probably got someone say something nice. Come
Oh,
on. I see
yeah,
it's everywhere. It's incredible. Like,
it's really lovely. There are some horror. I mean, horror fans are just the most sweet, empathetic
totally,
people.
totally.
Like every single time I meet a horror person, I'm just like, they're the loveliest person. They're so kind. Um, and it makes up for all the really hard bits of the experience because like being an author does, especially like the autism, like it just
Yeah.
doesn't. It's like playing a game, but you don't know what the rules
Yeah,
are.
yeah, yeah, totally. And so wait, and how does that, how can you do you have the perspective to talk about how those two things interact? Like, because obviously, like you mentioned, like maybe a hyperfixation. Does does having autism, are you kind of, do you use it at all when you're writing, or is it just actually it's nothing to do with it?
I think so. Like, I think it's the sensory aspect because that's when I'm sort of like visibly autistic, it's when the sensory stuff becomes too much. And
Yeah,
so being able to write about that is like it's really, really linked with how I it's yeah, it's just I think it's just inherently linked to how I work. But I
yeah.
think also like publishing is like such a strange industry because nobody tells you how it's going to work. Like you're like especially as a debut, you're just kind of thrown into it and you're just like, what am I doing?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and
And
so
they
there's
kind of bank on that as well, I think. So, because obviously the amount of people who debut versus the amount of people who get to have a career is, I mean, is so
it's wild.
massive and minuscule. And I
So,
wanted to say that the thing that I definitely felt from reading The Lamb was that sense of synesthesia. You know, like there was definitely a color palette to it. There was definitely like a smell to it
oh,
as well.
good.
Like,
Smell
yeah, yeah, no, it
liquid.
was no, so I know, but I yes, that exactly, and just like just the chunks of flesh and the teeth, that kind of stuff. You know, it's like, and I think horror is such a sensory genre, so it's like it works really well. And I just want to circle back to the first question I asked, which is about the sense of validation.
Yes,
And
sorry.
what? No, no, no. I diverted us away because I wanted to go and just like get some background. But what does it? Yeah. What? So considering that you are someone who is, you have self doubt, maybe more than the average person. I don't know, but like, has this soothed you? This experience soothed you at all, or is it like this kind of Sisyphus rolling the stone up the hill, and it's like, oh, I've released the book, and the stone's gone back down. I'm gonna have to push it up. Is that what will tell me about it?
I think it depends on the day.
Yeah,
There are like I think there are days where the stone feels like it's at the bottom of the hill, and it's those days are really hard because
yeah,
you don't want ever want to let anybody down ever. Like the readers, your publishers, your colleagues, you never ever want to let anyone down. And it's so weird because when you become an author, like I don't know if people think that you suddenly inherit this like upper brain power that
yeah,
you didn't have before. But I'm like, I have the same brain that I had before. I still make wrong turns in my writing where it's like not as good as it could be.
yeah.
I'm still learning. Um, and so I think, I don't know, like, is it maybe this is a bad thing to say, but I think there's like two classes of writer or people who go into the writing industry, and it's people who are like incredibly sure of themselves, and then people who are just like have no certainty whatsoever.
But I think that if you don't have self doubt, then you probably aren't. The creative spirit is about problem solving
It is,
and
yeah.
developing yourself. So it's just that thing. I completely agree that I think there are some people who have this incredible confidence, and
Mm,
I think that can be damaging. I think that, I mean, no one wants to have like really bad anxiety and think that you're shit when clearly demonstrably you aren't, like, but there is something in that where it allows you to dig deep and really work on the things that you maybe feel are a little bit lacking.
be curious. Like you're not
Yeah.
going to ask questions if you're certain of everything. Because why would you ask a question if you were certain of everything? So I think the pros to self-doubt and crippling anxiety is that you do ask more questions,
Yeah,
which
totally.
which is a good thing, and it makes you a more rounded, better person as well, because you think about things in a different way.
Now that you have got this kind of, I guess, a platform now, I think platform is definitely the right word for it. Um, have you written your next book? Is it finished?
I'm writing it at the moment.
Don't like, and I'm not saying that in like
No,
some
it's
people, some
okay.
of the authors I've interviewed, especially like some of the more extreme horror authors, they told me they like wrote 20 books in like 3 years, and I'm like, come on now, what's going on?
I've not written 20. I'm writing something at the moment, which I feel cautiously optimistic
Um,
about.
okay,
Um,
but by the sounds of it, that's what you're always going to be like. You,
yeah,
is
yeah.
you can't tell me anything about it, can you?
The only reason that I can't is because I've not told my publisher about
Okay,
it
fine, no,
yet.
no.
But if I had, I would.
No, no, sure. Well, I mean,
What I can tell you is that it's definitely set by the sea.
okay,
So
great. Okay,
yeah.
okay, that's enough. That's enough for me. Well, no, that's good, and I think that actually there's something as well about scarcity. I would
Mm.
say, like you've had such a definitely had a success with the Lamb, and I don't think people are going to forget about you. And I think it's the kind of thing where there's so much content and books coming out all the time, and
All
and
the time.
and I think you should be confident that your brand that you now have will definitely last you as long as it takes to get a good book out. But what does it feel like? Do you second album syndrome? You know that thing. Is that do you think?
It's so real. Like I
Yeah,
don't care what anyone says, it's so real.
yeah.
The realest thing that anyone like it really like I if you don't have second book syndrome, I am the most jealous person.
Yeah.
Like the
No,
book that
yeah.
I'm writing at the moment, this is my fifth time rewriting it from scratch. Like,
But that's a good thing, isn't it? Because it means that the idea you want to do the idea justice.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm getting closer every time. I can feel it. Like I'm just like getting it's that thing that Taika Waititi says where he's like he just like moves to a blank document and everything that stays is important. And that is like the truest thing. Like
Yes.
so true. Like
It is true, and it's kind of like I think you can kind of bullshit yourself when you're creating anything, and you'll try and you won't look at the thing which isn't working because it's like if I look at it too long, I'm going to give up. But
yeah.
like you know that there will inevitably come a point where it's like I mean, you kind of, or in a way, you almost like you ignore it so hard that by the time you actually look at it and realize you have to get rid of that 10,000 words, they might
Yeah.
be beautifully written, but it's like, oh, it serves the story. It's fine. I can let go
Exactly.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that is truer words have never been spoken. Like
It,
that is exactly it.
it's an important part, but again, like you won't, no one would know this if they hadn't like you written, several books, but they may not have been published. You may never show them to anyone, but it's like you kind of do, I think, like in life, you kind of have to go through and make those mistakes and kind of keep on going. I want to ask maybe a slightly more kind of abstract question, if that's all right, which is about the Lamb is obviously I can tell where the influences come from in your like maybe the part of the country, and maybe you said that you had this family was like a recurring family in your imagination. Like what was it about the Lamb which was like scary to you?
Oh, I, God, that is a really good question. I think the thing that I was the most afraid of when I was like a very small child was that because I lived so rural,
Yeah,
just this idea that you could run and run and never escape, like because it's just so far away. And I
yeah,
was so small and tiny. I was a tiny human with like tiny little legs. So like physically that would be a challenge. But I that to me, like this idea that the landscape can both be your freedom and your captor
yeah,
is fascinating to me. And kind of layering on top of that, like I really, really, really love horror. I love horror movies. I love the tropes that pop up. And when those tropes pop up, like the rural house or the lack of phone signal, I smile because I'm like,
yeah,
oh, I recognize you. It's like seeing an old friend.
yeah,
Like whenever a Scream movie opens with the opening stinger, I smile because it's like it's this sort of in joke that we all share
yeah,
that I'm
totally.
for the first time as an autistic person, I'm actually in on and I
Yeah,
understand. Um,
the codes are very
yeah,
obvious. No, totally. And
exactly.
I think that that's the thing is like, I don't think when you're writing a story or creating anything, you don't need to be like wildly inventive and original. Like the point is follow the well-trodden path. And in horror's case, that is a very overgrown and horrible path. But like we all know what it is, Like,
Yeah.
and I think I think that's what everyone that's what's so comforting about horror is because like you were saying, maybe even identifying those codes. Like I think we all on different levels kind of think that it's like it's a scary and wild place, but we have the boundaries drawn out. We know the touchstones and the things. So yeah, you had the remote cottage and obviously cannibalism, which you know, it's like who isn't scared of being eaten by someone? But again, it's like cannibalism is such a good metaphor, and you don't. And I'm not even going to ask you to explain the metaphor of cannibalism because it can be so many things. And that's what I love about horror is that all of those kind of things are just metaphors for whatever you want them to be. And but I mean, I will ask about cannibalism. Is that something? Because I actually very recently, before I read The Lamb, I read Brother by Ania Allborn. Have you read that?
Yeah, I have.
Because I thought
Great.
it was so. I thought it was as good. Like
It's
honestly,
fucking amazing. It's such a great book. Sorry if I'm not allowed to swear, but can you
no,
beep
you
out?
are allowed to swear. You are allowed to swear. No, but it
It's
is it.
so good.
But they stack up next to each other. I want you to know. I would reference. I would say that The Lamb is the English brother.
Oh, that's a big compliment. Thank you.
But it is though, like it really is though. Like it's not do. I mean, again, like with the tropes, it's like you're not reinventing the wheel. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a secluded kind of like kind of incestuous family
True.
vibe that's like eating strangers because obviously that idea of you know, it's very hard now, I think, in the world to envision these places where people disappear and no
Mm,
one like follows up where they are. You know, it's like, but then, like you said, that the fact that it's so rural and it's so big, and
mm.
it's a prison as much as it is freedom as well. Like that's very scary to me. My favorite movie is the Blair Witch Project.
Oh,
It's
sorry, I love that movie so
so
much.
good. That was
It's so
my
great.
aha horror moment in the dark. Yeah.
What a fantastic one. Do you know something I do to my friends all the time is I just go stand in the corner and like don't
What with your face to it? The
like
face.
literally just yeah, like I literally will just like stand and they know what I'm doing. I'm Blair Witching, but like I do just do
That's an absolute vibe. And what's so good about that movie is like, and some, I mean, not all horror. I mean, I love horror that isn't like this as well. But the fact that you never really see the thing,
oh,
that's the scariest thing. You know, and I think what I really loved about The Lamb is the idea that this family, in a way, there wasn't an explanation as to why the mother was like this. You know, it wasn't like a kind of like, oh, this is a scientific kind of explanation for anything. It was like you just dropped into this world where this is what's happening. And I think that's true of the world in general. It's like so unknowable, you know? Um,
it is unknowable and it's scary and like I just I don't know that I'm a lover of stories where I do just get dropped in and like I you just have to kind of adjust.
yeah,
Um one of my like favorite movies of all time, it's actually not a horror movie, but it feels kind of like sort of it's a very sinister film. It's called Badlands by Terrence Malick. Have you seen
I've
it?
seen Badlands. Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
just so you never really get an explanation as to
no.
anything that's happening. You're just like with these people as they go around killing people in the Badlands of Montana, and you just have to be like, cool. Like
I love that. I don't know what that genre is, but I'm a big fan of that genre because I think I think that is actually a horror adjacent thing.
I feel so too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think anything that is unsettling for me,
Yeah.
it's like just obviously ratchet up to the highest unsettlement that you can get. But yeah, that's a really good film. I know I
It's
really
so
like that
good.
film. Yeah,
And I love it because it's like it's so like horror films and like books that are like where they really do incite dread and terror to you, but they're in broad daylight or they're in the
yeah,
summer, just like
I love it.
I know that there's snow in the land, but like there's a lot of sunspots as well. So
It's
like
not. It's definitely not a wintry book. It's got. I think it's because it's so. There's the land is alive, so it
mm,
doesn't feel like it's dead and it's
yeah.
dark. It's like everything is kind of there's decay and stuff, but it's like it's alive. But yeah, I agree, and I like this Summerween thing, and just I'm actually a big. Well, I mean, I only read horror books, which is maybe not great for like
So you
broadening.
found what you like, just
I
enjoy
do.
it.
That's
Life's
the thing.
short.
It's true, and also there's just so many fucking books.
So
Like
many to read.
what are you reading at the moment?
I am reading two books. I have one of them on me. I'm reading this book called Sour Fruit. This is not the final cover.
Yeah.
It's been pitched as for fans of My Sister the Serial Killer and Boy
Oh
Parts.
yes, very good.
I'm loving it so far. It's slay. And I'm also reading Restoration, which is like a retelling of Bluebeard, but like femgore. And
Oh,
it's really good so far. Like, can I tell you what happens on the opening
you
page?
must tell me.
Okay, so it's about this girl who's like renovating her boyfriend's family's house, and she also is really into photography. And the first page is her finding a photograph of her own dismembered body.
Oh, that's so
It's
good.
like, how did it become dismembered, and how do you have a photograph of it? Like, what an amazing opening.
Well, and also Bluebeard is just, it's so weird. Like literally a week ago, I was like, I need a retelling of Bluebeard. It's the creepiest fairy tale
So
of them all.
good. I
Like,
also, when I was writing The Lamb, when I was writing, so I tend to like do things in like couplets. So like if I'm writing a book about a certain subject, I will also be writing a film about the same subject. So while I was working on The Lamb, I was also working on a short film called Taste, which is about cannibalism, and it's a cannibalistic retelling of Bluebeard,
I
which
mean, that sounds fantastic. And,
like
and when you're making or writing the scripts for these kind of short films, do you do it with a, you know, with the ultimate end for them being made, or is it just something you enjoy doing?
I do hope that they get made. Taste did get made, and She Lives Alone got made. Um,
Is taste out and viewable?
I don't know if it is viewable, but I can send you a link if you
Yeah,
want.
I'd love to see it. Oh my God, but especially if it's like a almost like a companion, well, not maybe not literally a companion piece, but that would be epic. Yeah.
It's a cool period drama, and it's like I wanted it to be kind of like a down to earth kind of horror in the same way that The Lamb is. So it's like just again like lots of spooky candlelight,
Yeah.
and
It's not
we
supernatural in the
yeah,
literal sense of it. Yeah.
and we shot it in this like really old creepy mansion in Berwick,
Mm,
which has a name that I can't remember, and I don't think they'd appreciate me calling it creepy because it's a tourist attraction. But when we got there, it's like really old. When we
yeah.
got my production designer, my production designer, it's a team of two, it's a mother and a daughter, and the mum was just, she's a medium. So like she would be like, I've seen this woman around the house and she likes what we're doing. So it's all, and I would just be like, I'd actually rather not.
Yeah, thanks.
It
Keep
was
that to
great.
yourself, actually.
It was
Yeah.
great.
No, but that's a vibe. I actually there's a lot of people in the horror community who also go what's it called? Ghost it's not ghost hunting, but it's that thing of like the going to a
Oh
place,
yeah.
paranormal energy.
Yeah.
Would you ever do something like that?
I've done it once before and I actually did have a really creepy
Oh
experience.
yeah,
I'm like a big Ghost Files fan
yeah.
slash BuzzFeed Unsolved fan. I love my Ghoul Boys. And I'm like in my heart, I'm a Bugara, but like in my head, I'm a Shaniac and I do have a little bit of skepticism.
Yeah.
But we did my friend worked at a pub called the Bridge Hotel, which is this really old pub that is built on Hadrian's Wall in
Oh
Newcastle.
wow, yeah.
And if you go down into the beer cellar, like the stones of this
Yeah,
Roman,
yeah, yeah.
it's there. It's also right outside Newcastle Castle, which is freaking ancient. Like it's literally like it was built in like the 1000s or something wild.
Yeah.
Um, and it was really scary. Like we heard a really loud clang and there was literally nobody else there.
Oh.
And he told me beforehand that like that one of the ghosts that they have is a man who waits by the beer kegs in the basement and just like kicks them. And like it was just really creepy. And there was literally nobody else there in the room. So we were just like, how did this happen? Um, but
So you're
maybe,
not so you but you have a little bit of skepticism about it, but you're open and minded enough to go, maybe, you know.
maybe
Yeah.
anything's possible.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to remember the name of the show on BBC One, but it's from a podcast. Uncanny, it's called.
Uncanny. Yes.
It's so good.
Brilliant. I
Because
love it.
that stuff, I'm literally like watching it going, well, ghosts are real. I'm
Ghost
sorry,
real.
that's it. You
A
know,
hundred percent. 100%. It's I hope that they're real. I really want them to be
yeah,
real.
why not? Like,
You
what? And
know?
also, why? I think unless you're like it, you like have a revulsion to the idea of it, or like you're just so against it. Like, just
Mm.
why not? It's better to. I
No,
think in general, just why not? Just
exactly. And I've done a lot of Ouija boards in my time as
yeah,
well. And some weird stuff has happened with those. So I'm just like, I have a healthy dose of skepticism to know when I'm being scammed.
yeah,
But also I like to think that I'm open. I don't know about you, what your
Definitely.
where you stand on the whole ghost
I
thing, but
stand on it where I think I've seen a ghost. I had this thing where I was quite young and I was at the top. I was standing at the top of the stairs and I was watching my mum on the phone and there was a guy sitting next to her and she wasn't looking at him. And then I went away because I was like, oh, stranger. I don't want to see the stranger or speak to the stranger. And I went down afterwards and I was like, and she said that her friend had just died. And when she told me who it was, I knew who this guy, and the person I had seen at least had the same color hair as them. So it was like
Oh,
and there was no explanation for it. You could obviously say, oh well, maybe I heard the name, but it doesn't even go. I mean, I definitely saw a person, and I yeah, it maybe it is a ghost. I don't know, but
that's really chilling.
it was scary, but then I think what's funny
Really
about it
comforting.
is it kind of, yeah, there's something about it which is it's net it's I think it's unlikely to the thing that I'm skeptical about is murderous or
Mm.
angry or evil ghosts. I'm not saying that there aren't, I'm sure there are. Maybe a guy kicking beer kegs, it's not angry. Maybe
It's
he's,
probably like moody, like there's a
yeah,
difference.
oh, frick, just giving a kick. Or maybe he was working down there and he knew that you need to give them a kick in order to get
He
them
knew that
started.
I'd stayed after hours and he wanted to give me a show.
Yeah, exactly. So I just think that it's like there's a and when I read, even though horror deals in general with really difficult topics, I think the ultimate end is to make you feel more closely connected with yourself, like
Yeah.
and more closely connected with humans. So it's
Mhm.
like when if someone says to me, "Oh, I'm an avid like ghost hunter or whatever," I definitely have long ago shut off the part of my brain that would want to laugh at someone and go,
Oh,
"That's
same.
ridiculous,"
I literally am just like Slay, tell me everything.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. How you're so cool. Like
yeah,
the people who would laugh at you are just so insignificant. They're so much less cool than you are,
exactly.
you know.
Honestly, I completely agree. Ghost hunters are the coolest people, also the bravest people,
Yeah,
because
yeah. That's the probably the reason why I
a
don't
level of courage is involved in
totally,
that.
totally. All right. I'm gonna wrap this up by asking you just a couple more questions about what was the last horror film that you watched?
What was the last horror film that I watched? I watched a horror TV show. Is that all right? Or does it have to
Definitely. That
be?
was I was gonna ask you what TV you
Okay.
watched, but yeah,
Um,
tell me.
I have The Haunting of Hill House on DVD and I watch it all the time. It's like a comfort, like a massive
Do you mean
show for me.
the Netflix one? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was really good. It was really good.
I love it. So that's the last thing I watched. The last horror movie that I watched was Abigail.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think Abigail's great.
It's so great. It's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
funny. It literally makes me cackle, like literally cackle my tits off. It's so funny.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I'm all
yes,
about it.
that's the last film and TV show that I watched.
And but in general, what kind of TV do you watch?
Everything,
Yeah,
like yeah, everything. I'm a massive nerd. I love Doctor Who like so much. Especially like my favorite Doctor is Christopher Eccleston. I love
yeah.
him.
I
He's
know.
my bae. Lots of planets have a north. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, at the minute I'm watching, I like so basically all I've watched for the past 3 days is K-pop Demon Hunter, and I just keep starting it again, watching it over and over again.
I've not seen
Um,
that. So what is it good though? Is it energetic and fun and yeah.
It's so fun.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really fun. It's by the same people who made Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
So,
Incredible animators. Incredible.
so the tone is really similar to that.
Yeah, yeah,
It's about K-pop demon hunters, and it's
yeah.
about this band who slay demons, but also it's about so much more than that.
Yeah.
Um, it's really funny and it's really uplifting. In terms of what kind of other things do I watch? I really like Andrea Arnold, so I've been watching Fish Tank a lot for my inspiration for my next book.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
A lot, just in case everybody should go watch Fish Tank by Andrea Arnold.
Yeah, Fish Tank's amazing.
It's so good.
Wait, is Fish Tank the one where the actor wasn't an actor beforehand?
I
Is that
think so,
yeah.
yeah. And it's got Michael Fassbender in it. In
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I saw it when I was too young to understand.
watch it again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Same. I was the same. I watched
Yeah.
it when I was like at university, and I didn't have like the sort of I wasn't grown up enough to understand what I was watching. And then I watched it back again, like when I was older, and I was like, oh, this is cinema.
Yes, no, 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 amazing. There's a horror film coming out. Maybe you could remind me what it's called. It's like, I think it's out in America now. But it's about foster care. It's supposed to be amazingly good. I'm so bad of me to have
Oh.
brought it up and then just be like, "Ah, I
No,
can't
no,
remember what
you'll
it's
have to
called."
let me know what that
I
is. The
will.
only
I think it'll be everywhere when it comes out. It's supposed to be incredible. It comes out in August, just late August, I think.
Nice.
So yeah, I'll remember what it is. But anyway, we've come to the end, and I just thank you so much for coming to talk
No,
to
thank
me.
you.